What's up, everyone? I thought I would make this video to show people how to effectively flip and trade on the auction house, give some knowledge and apply basic economic theory because essentially it's just commodities trading. And the best thing about the auction house is you get to see everything happening in real time. It's like a trading terminal, which is great if you understand what's going on. I think a lot of people are daunted by it because, you just see prices going up and down and people don't necessarily know where to start, and it's a very daunting task. But once you understand how things work at a base level, you can start thinking up your own strategies, making strategic guesses on what you want to bet on, and potentially rake in lots of profits for doing absolutely nothing. And again, this is a very sort of universal theme. You can apply this elsewhere in life. So that's useful as well. So to start off the video, people have obviously heard the term supply and demand. Let's just write it down in red. There's supply and demand. Hopefully people can see that. But in my opinion, this saying is wrong. You shouldn't be asking or just saying supply and demand. Always ask, is there supply and is there demand? If so, how much demand is there? How much demand? Because that will be effectively how liquid the object is which you're trading. And liquid is basically like water, it flows. If it's very liquid, it's going to sell fast. So if you're going into a liquid market and you're buying things which aren't trading very fast, you're going to be sitting on a lot of, stock and potentially losing a lot of money and betting against yourself. So if there's a shortage of demand and an increase of supply, the only person you're really trading against is yourself. So that's a really important thing to remember. Don't trade against yourself. Don't bet in a liquid market. They're slow moving and you'll take years to sell this stuff off unless you just drop the price entirely and cash out. And someone will spot that instantly as well. So, what do you do if there's not sufficient demand? Well, you justify diversifying. And I don't use the word diversify like diversify your stocks and be a trading bro and stuff like that. I don't use buzzwords in that sense. Diversify because it is a necessity, not because you just want a large portfolio of things. And in terms of diversify, maybe the null stones are a highly illiquid market. So I have to find some other stuff to put my money into. Okay, how can you tell if a market is generally illiquid? Well, one of the best things to see is, how it's trading. So let's see if I can get this up now. Boom. Look here at the bottom, you can see quantity, I think. Can you see quantity? I don't know if that says. The red line is the quantity of stuff on the market. See this huge spike? The quantity drops, the price increases. Supply and demand. There's no supply, so the demand absolutely soars in price. And you can see here, and like everything's just cruising along normally. There's a consistent, price range. Then quantity goes up, the price drops down to 50. Then quantity pretty much drops to 900, and the market value increases all the way to 368. So what's the best way to describe what's going on? Buffer zones. Buffer zones. So a buffer zone is like a dam. These are either deliberate buffer zones set by people who are effectively, completely and utterly winning the market. And you can see here, 778, 770, 717. There's 14,000 null stones. So in order for the price to soar, first of all, we need to buy 7 here. So we're buying here. And then what is the probability that there's going to be a massive increase in demand where these 2 buffer zones get X'd out? Then the price literally goes up a fraction of a silver at a time. These aren't probably deliberate, but that's effectively a buffer zone. So you might think, oh my God, null stones is a great commodity to trade. But you're looking at a lot of stuff before the price actually increases. You've got to go through about 4,000, 5,000 sales before you even get up, 1 gold. So that sort of incremental change, that's something to be aware of. And of course, you can apply your own sort of strategy here, but the thing to think of it like is it's like a ladder, a market, and this is perfect. Like there's each step in the market. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It extends. The ladder gets longer as more, as there's more quantity, as there's more supply. The ladder gets longer. The price goes down. Okay, and then as supply shortens, you cut off the ladder. The ladder retracts. Demand increases, the ladder retracts. So this video is going to about 6 to 7 minutes. Now, obviously, we can talk about the last thing I think I can squeeze it in now. Basically, the next thing we're going to be talking about is variables. I love Excel. I only use Excel because I just find it the neatest way to look at things. So, what's going on in the world? What's happening? Ask yourself questions all the time. It's really important to, because these have a massive impact. If people aren't playing, people aren't buying. That's the general rule. If people aren't in the game, they ain't buying. So, is there a new expansion launching? That's a great question to ask. Is there a weekly reset? Will people be buying more nullstones? Is there a new meta? Does a class need a certain sort of enchant? What does that enchant require? Always constantly ask them. Is a classic expansion launching? Again, that's going to take people out of the game. If there's a dead spot in the game, like in Warlords of Draenor, think of like the market will basically capitulate because not enough people are playing. So these are massive variables to think. Legion Remix, again, people aren't going to be buying commodities off the auction house as much as they would be if they were playing the game. PvP crates, again, that's a seasonal thing. By the end of the season, my conquest gets capped. People aren't going to be buying things when they get easier ways of receiving them. So that's some really basic stuff. But hopefully this was an interesting video. I didn't think it would go on for 8 minutes, but hopefully you can learn that. And essentially, if you build strategies around these sorts of things and constantly asking questions, you're going to be ahead of the game massively. A lot of these add-ons, Trade Skill Master, they're just like sort of fluff. If you can't apply base systems and base strategy to trading, to commodities, to stuff like that, it doesn't matter how many tools you've got. You can have a Bloomberg terminal and you won't and you won't make any money off it if you don't know the base sort of economics of what's going on. Okay, anyways, thanks for watching the video. Peace.